Aloha, I'm Congressman Mark Takai of the 1st District of Hawaii, and I'd like to remind you that March is Women's History Month. I encourage everyone during Women's History Month to take some time to celebrate the women who have left great legacies in your community and even in your family. In Hawaii, we are truly fortunate to have had great women in our community who exemplified leadership and service. Women like the late Patsy Mink, the first woman of color elected to Congress, who participated in the passage of much of the 1960s Great Society legislation during the first phase of her congressional career. Congresswoman Mink also advocated many women's issues in Congress, including equal rights. One of her greatest legislative triumphs was the Women's Education Equity Act, passed as part of a comprehensive education bill in 1974. It provided $30 million a year in educational funds for programs to promote gender equity and to increase educational and job opportunities for women. Congresswoman Mink garnered critical support for Title IX of the 1972 Education Amendments, which barred sexual discrimination in institutions receiving federal funds and opened up opportunities for women in athletics. After a hiatus, Congresswoman returned to the House in the 1990s as an ardent defender of the social welfare state at a time when much of the legislation she had helped establish was being rolled back. Disturbed that gender discrimination still persisted in the United States 20 years after the passage of Title IX, Congresswoman Mink asserted that targeting gender bias in elementary and secondary education would help reduce inequalities between the sexes. Congresswoman Mink continued to crusade for women's rights by organizing and leading the Democratic Women's Caucus in 1995. There are also women like the late State Representative Helene Hale, whose career in public service spanned more than 4 decades. Rep. Hale worked as a University of Hawaii professor, chaired the Hawaii County Council, and then served in the State House until she retired at age 88. Rep. Hale was also one of the first women to hold an executive position in Hawaii local government. There are also other women in Hawaii who serve us right now. Senator Mazie Hirono, the first Asian American woman elected to the Senate, who has been a mentor to me during my time in the State House, and now while I'm in Congress. Then there's my colleague here in the House, Tulsi Gabbard, who I served with in the Hawaii National Guard and now have the privilege of representing the state in Congress together. We're also fortunate to have our state legislature full of talented, capable women with a sense of service, like Senate President Donna Kim, Representative Sylvia Luke, Senator Michelle Kidani, and Representative Della Al-Baladi, to name a few. During Women's History Month, I again encourage you to remember those women who have left their mark and talk with your own children about it. I know I'll be talking with my own daughter, Kyla, and helping her understand the stories of the many great women who have come before her. And I hope stories like these will inspire Kyla and the other young women to rise to great heights of service and leadership too. Mahalo.